So we're going to start by Zion Amid Beis, the last three lines, where it says Loi. No, it's not the way we said previously. Should we go over that? Yes.
Yeah, I think a little bit of introduction.
So we had a brisa that said, if you're mechashev me'achila lehaktara, rather, not me'achila lehaktara, rather, you think about something that's meant to be eaten. You think about burning it, or you think about something burning and meant to be eaten. So Rabbi Eliezer's opinion was that was pasal. And he learns it from Vim Heyachal Yeyachal, since it says twice in the pasuk, that if you will eat from it on the third day, it's going to be pigel. And the Gemara learns that that's talking about thinking about eating from it on the third day, which is those karbanos that have 2 days. The third day would be out of the time. So we quoted a brisa. The brisa says, our question was, does Rabbi Eliezer say that it's pigel, or does he just say that it's pasal? So we quoted a brisa that's straight Tanai. I'll leave it to Rabbi Eliezer. It's two opinions, but Rabbi Eliezer holds. The brisa started off saying that Rabbi Eliezer says pasal, and the sages say it's kosher. Then there's a middle case of the brisa. The middle says lahaniach midam in the mach. If you're going to just leave it, you're not going to eat it. You're just going to leave the blood. So Rabbi Yehuda Paisel. We have welcome back.
Thank you.
Rabbi Yehuda Paisel. Rabbi Yehuda says that it's pasal. Rabbi Elazar says in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that it's pasal, and the sages say that it's kosher. So Rabbi Elazar says that there's still a machlekes by lahaniach. Rabbi Yehuda says it's pasal. So it must be that Rabbi Yehuda says it's pasal by lahaniach.
Yud Hey.
We're up to Yud Zion, 17 B on the bottom. Rabbi Yehuda says that which one is pasal? Lahaniach is pasal, but to eat it, that would be karesh. And Rabbi Elazar says that the machlekes that we have by eating something that's not fit to be eaten is the same as lahaniach. Okay. So, and that way we have two opinions according to Rabbi Elazar. If eating something, having intention to eat something that's not fit to be eaten, is kares or not. Okay, so on 17b, the last three lines, it says loy. That's actually not the opinions that we have here. It's different. The kuli alma kares leka. What we're discussing now is if someone is thinking about eating the section of the carbon that's meant to be burnt out of the allotted time. He has the wrong thoughts. He has thoughts that it's out of the time, which creates pigel. But he's thinking about eating something that's not meant to be eaten anyway. So the sages said that doesn't count. Mm-hmm. They say it's kosher. Rabbi Eliezer says that it's pasal. We had a discussion. Why doesn't Rabbi Eliezer say that it's not only pasal, but it's even pigel? Pasal just means invalid. Pigel means that it incurs the kares penalty. Because we discussed, where does Rabbi Eliezer know that from? We quoted some psukim. That if you quoted psukim, it sounds like it's a daraisa. It should be the real thing. So we quoted a brisa that seemed to say that there were two opinions what Rabbi Eliezer held. We say like the kuli alma kares leka. Everyone in that brisa holds that there is no kares. V'hacha gimel machlekes bedavar. Here we actually have three opinions. Tanakama savar. The Tanakama holds. The first section of the brisa says, "Bahanach pligi." Something that's not supposed to be eaten is a machlekes Rabbi Eliezer and the sages. Of course, there's no kares. No one holds kares. It's just a question if it's pasal. Lahaniach. What about lahaniach? Dibri hakol kasher. The first opinion holds. Everyone holds that if you're just going to leave it out of its time, everyone holds that it's kosher. What does Rabbi Yehuda say to that? Rabbi Yehuda savar bahanach pligi. Obviously, they're arguing about things that are not supposed to be eaten. However, lahaniach divriyah called pasal. Even the sages say pasal. My timer. Why would the sages say pasul? They didn't. They held that if you're going to eat something that's not supposed to be eaten, it's kosher. And here they say if you leave it, it's pasul. He said the reason is because gezeira makes us nami to kol dami, but kol dami psul deraisa. The problem is that if you're going to leave the blood out of it a lot of time, all of the blood would be pasul because you didn't sprinkle the blood. Now, if you're going to leave some of the blood,
The next day comes, you haven't sprinkled the blood, you've got all this blood, and
Right.
the blood is puzzle. The carbon's been eaten, it's past tense.
no, you weren't able to eat it.
Why not?
We're talking about that you actually. We're talking about that not that you didn't sprinkle the blood.
Right,
We're talking about you had thoughts
okay.
of not sprinkling the blood.
So you had some bad thoughts, but at the end of the day, you sprinkled everything on time, you did everything on time, and now we're looking back at the facts.
Yeah, but it didn't actually happen. We're before the fact. We're before it happened. It's all in his mind.
Okay.
Okay, so why is it pasul midaraisa if you would leave all the blood for a later day? The Tanya was taught in the Brisa. Amalem Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda responds to them. Yet moidimli sheminichul machar shepasul. Do you not admit? Do you not agree that if he actually would have left the blood, it would be pasul? So chishav lanichal machar nami pasul. So just thinking about it should invalidate it even before you did anything. Okay, so Rabbi Yehuda's opinion is that everyone would agree. Rabbi Eliezer, of course, he holds even if you eat it, which is not edible, not meant to be eaten, rather, it's pasul. If you leave it, it's also pasul. But even the sages that said you has to be thinking about something eating something that's meant to be eaten and burning something that's meant to be burnt, even they would say pasul. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. But also Rabbi Eliezer lameimar. Now don't get confused between Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, whenever we mention Rabbi Eliezer, it's always Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. Known as Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol. He's one that's mentioned in Pirkei Avos. He's a student of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. He wrote the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. He's the one that was plowing the field, and he was sad, and his father says, you want a different field to plow? Is it too hard for you? He says, no, I want to study Torah. He went to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Then the father went to Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai and said, I want to disown my son. He wasn't with me when I went through hardships. And Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai told him to speak. I guess he didn't realize it was, I don't, it doesn't explain the details. When we write the novel, we'll make those up. So he told him to speak. He got up. He said, if the whole world was created just for you, it would have been worth it. So then he says, okay, you know what, I'm going to disown all my other children and just give all my wealth to Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. He says, no, keep me as just one of the regular rabbis. So that's Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer, that we're mentioning here, is a student of Rabbi Akiva. His name is Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua. He's one of the 10 martyrs in the Asara Rugi Malchus. Okay, so he's quoting Rabbi Eliezer. You have to realize, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's student is Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer's student is Rabbi Akiva. Friend, student. He was a contemporary, sort of. His student is Rabbi Elazar. So that's why when we're going to say that, Rabbi Elazar. But also Rabbi Elazar Lameima, Rabbi Elazar comes to say that Af Bezu Rabbi Elazar Paisel. That Rabbi Eliezer also makes this forbidden. V'chachamim machshirim. And the sages say that it's permissible. We're talking about if you're not going to eat the blood the following day, your intention is not to eat it, but just to leave it. Okay. The Gemara asks, Rabbi Yehuda really holds that everyone agrees that it's pasul if you leave it for the following day. If you intend to leave it for the following day, Rabbi Yehuda holds that it's pasul, according to the sages as well. Vahatanya was taught in a brisa. Amar Rebbe. That's a very interesting brisa. We're on 18a. Kishalachti lamatzos midaisai. When I went to squeeze out my learning. Now, what he means here, there's two possibilities. Let's Eitzel Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel. Rabbeinu Gershon says that what it means is one commentary of his is that I wanted to learn the Masechtas that there's two opinions in the Gemara what it means over here. Doesn't mean that he wanted to check Rabbi Danasi is going to Rabbi Lazar ben Shmuel to check if his learning is accurate. The other opinion is that he went to squeeze out other learning from Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel, not to go over his learning, but to get more learning from Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel. The way Rabbi Gershon writes it here is that he went to Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel to study the Masechtas that he didn't learn. Because he learned all the Masechtas except for 1, 2, 3, whatever, and he went to Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel to get those remaining ones. So when he went to Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel, Matzasi Yosef Abavli Yosef Lefanav, I found Yosef the Babylonian sitting in front of Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel. Vayachavale b'Yoser ad la'achas. He was beloved to Rabbi Elazar until they reached one halacha in Zvachim. Another opinion is that it was beloved to Yosef Habavli, every word that Rabbi Elazar said, until they came to this one halacha. Amalai, he says to him, Rebbe, my teacher, is telling to Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel. This is Yosef Habavli asking. If someone slaughters a sacrifice with intention to leave the blood for the following day, mahu, what's the din? Amalei kasher says that it's valid, which is the opinion of the sages. Definitely in the second version, according to Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel. We don't know if that's the opinion of the sages according to Rabbi Yehuda. He doesn't say, he just says plain puzzle. But whatever it is, Rabbi Elazar says that it's kosher. Arvis, he asked him the same question again in the evening. Amalei kosher. He says it's valid. Shachris, he asked him again in the morning. Same question, Amalei kosher. Tzarayim, in the afternoon, Amalei kosher. Mincha, I guess means later in the afternoon, Amalei kosher. But then, at that point, he added in, Elish Rabbi Eliezer Paisal. But Rabbi Eliezer says, it's not good. Attention to leave the blood. So, Tzavu Panav Shel Yosef Abavli. Yosef Ababli's face begins to shine. He got the answer he wanted. So, Amalai, Rabbi Eliezer tells to Yosef, he says, Yosef. Is that the word supposed to be in there? Amalei Rabbi Eliezer. Yosef. Apparently, what I taught you didn't fit with what you learned until now. Amalei Rabbi Hain. He says, yes, that is so. Elish Rabbi Yehuda Paisal Shanali. What I learned by Rabbi Yehuda, he said that it's possible. I searched all of the students of Rabbi Yehuda, and I was looking for someone else that also heard that. And no one else heard that. Now that you've taught me that it's invalid, you've returned to me my lost object. Zolgoin of Demais for Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel, the eyes of Rabbi Elazar ben Shmuel were pouring with tears. Amar, he said, Ashreichem Talmidei Chachamim. Praiseworthy are you, the sages, the Torah scholars, that the words of Torah are so beloved by you. Kara alav hamikra azeh, he applied the verse that it says, Ma hafti teirasecha kol hayom sichasi. How much I love your Torah, all day it is my speech. What happened over here? How did this happen that Rabbi Yehuda says pasuk? How did Rabbi Yehuda say pasuk about this? Rabbi Yehuda is the son of Rabbi Eily. Rabbi Yehuda, his full name was Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eily. He was also a student of Rabbi Yehuda, was a student of Rabbi Akiva. but he was also a student of his father, Rabbi Eily. Now, Rabbi Eily, Talmidish Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eily was a student of Rabbi Eliezer. So therefore, Lefikach Shana Lach Mishnas Rabbi Eliezer. That's why he taught you the teachings of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay, now, the Isal Kadaitach Dibria Kol Pasal Esnaye. If Rabbi Yehuda taught that everyone holds that it's pasal, Mayach Sartali Avidasi, what does it mean that Rabbi Lazar ben Shemua says that Rabbi Lazar teaches this to Rabbi Yosef Abavli? Rabbi's listening. That you've returned to me my lost object. Look to Karmelei. He didn't say that everyone holds that it's pasal. He told him that Rabbi Eliezer says that it's pasal, and the sages said that it's kosher. Elamai. It must be that Rabbi Yehuda taught him that it's kosher. For Rabbi Eliezer pasal. Rabbi Eliezer says that it's pasal. And so, Asne. That's what he taught him. You take out one of the words, one of the paisal, something like pasal or paisal. Rabbi Eliezer paisal isnai. Rabbi Eliezer taught him that it's pasal. That it's a machlekes between the Chachamim and Rabbi Eliezer. So Yahachi, if that's what Rabbi Yehuda said, my hamipnei. What is the follow-up where it says that the reason why Rabbi Yehuda taught this was because his father was a student of Rabbi Eliezer, and that's why he taught it like that. Ananami plukta kamasninan. We're not students of Rabbi Eliezer, and we also taught it like that. That's Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar ben Shemua taught that it's a machlokes between the sages and Rabbi Eliezer. It's funny, the Gemara doesn't ask something so much more obvious. That in our brisa, I have Rabbi Yehuda that says pasal. We don't know what he means, pasal. Does he mean Rabbi Eliezer says pasal? Or does he mean that there's a machlokes there? But the follow-up, the following is, Rabbi Lazar ben Shemua says that this is a machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and the sages. What the Gemara should have said at this point is, if Rabbi Yehuda says it's a machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and the sages, then what's Rabbi Lazar adding that it's a machlokes, Rabbi Eliezer and the sages? Instead, the Gemara is asking it differently. The Gemara is asking not such a strong question. I would think that question would be a stronger question. The Gemara is asking here, what's this whole story about? The reason why Rabbi Yehuda taught that was because his father was a student of Rabbi Eliezer, so he teaches it straight that everyone agrees with that. But he really is teaching it that it's a machlokes. If he's teaching us a machlokes, so we're not students of Rabbi Eliezer, and we didn't teach that it's a machlokes. Rabbi Lazar ben Shemua saying, rather we have to say that the kol pasal is night. It must be that Rabbi Yehuda taught that everyone says that it's pasal. Now we're back to a problem. So what does it mean that Rabbi Elazar told him he returned his lost object by telling him that there's one opinion that it's pasal, when Rabbi Yehuda said that everyone says that it's pasal? So the hadle miyashum pasal spoiler. What he was happy about was that there's an opinion that says that it's pasal. Before, he didn't hear any opinion. Rabbi Yehuda said that it's pasal. Comes along Rabbi Lazar and tells him that yes, Rabbi Eliezer says that it's pasal. So even though Rabbi Yehuda says that it's pasal according to everyone, and Rabbi Lazar tells him that it's pasal according to Rabbi Eliezer, that was satisfactory enough. At least I know that there's one opinion in the world that says that it's pasal that could validate what I heard from Rabbi Yehuda. Okay. Comes out here. Is that we really don't have any source that it should be pigul according to Rabbi Eliezer. We only have a source that it's pasal. What's going to be with lahaniach? We said that's a machlokes. Could be that the sages also make a gzeira according to Rabbi Yehuda, or it could be according to Rabbi Lazar that the sages allow it. Okay. It's like the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, "La yatzak, la bala, la pasas, la malach, la henef, la hegesh." If he doesn't pour the oil on the mincha, he doesn't mix the oil, He doesn't break up the bread into small pieces. He doesn't salt it. He doesn't wave it. He doesn't bring it close to the altar, certain sacrifices. Rashi points out that we're not talking about that he didn't put the oil in. He put if a sacrifice, a mincha that's missing oil is possible. We're talking about that you put the oil in, but there's a way of putting it in. We're talking about put the oil in at the beginning, then you're supposed to put the flour, and then you're supposed to pour oil afterwards. He didn't do that, the oil afterwards. But there was still a measurement. We're going to see in the Gemara that it means actually that it was a non-kayan that did it, that poured that in. It wasn't mixed. It means you poured it all in at the beginning, but you didn't mix it with the flour. There's certain types of menachos that were baked before they were the kmitza, and certain where the kmitza was done on the dough. So if it's baked before the kmitza, then you had to break it into pieces in order to do the kmitza on it. You had to break up the bread. It was more like lafa type thing. They would fold it, then they would fold it again, and it would break into pieces as they folded it. So half, and then half of a half, and then okay. Which ones need to be waived? The minchas chayte, the sin offering, and also the minchas kanais, the saita offering needs to be waived, like a lulav. They shake it in the different directions. The Quakers and the Shakers, right? Isn't that when they shake this way or up and down? Lahavdil. But probably the source comes from the lulav or from the service in the temple. That was everything's in the Torah. Okay. Oi shapasam pitim merubas, or if he broke them into very large pieces. V'loi mashchan, and another case is that he doesn't smear the oil on it. Certain menachos you had to put the oil on in a certain form. You would make an X or like a gamma, a Greek gamma. Okay. The wafers needed to be anointed with oil. Just pour it on the top. All of these, the halacha is kshera. Even though you didn't do these services, all of these menachos are kosher.
We just finished discussing for 5 blot, maybe 6.
How everything is puzzled.
How, if you did everything right, but along the way you had a problematic thought, it's puzzle. Now we're discussing.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
We actually missed a few steps.
Right. Amazing.
It's still kosher.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think?
I thought it's more important than the actions.
It sounds like it sounds like there's critical parts of this. Those critical parts, every single detail is vital, and then there's other parts where it doesn't matter even if you skip it. Also, what it's saying is that you can do everything right, even the things that weren't ma'akev, even and still mess it up. That's the negative side with just thinking the wrong thoughts. So you can get so into all of the. So look, just this is the most important part. Just stay focused. My layatzak. What does it mean that he didn't pour the oil? Eily layatzak klal. It means he didn't pour any oil. Ikubak sivba. That's no good. It has to be poured. It says it twice. Ikuva means that it's
Effective.
It's what?
Effective? No,
the opposite of effective.
Not effective?
It makes it invalidates it. It holds back. So what ikuv means to hold back. It holds back its validation. Why? Because anything in Karbanis, if it says it twice, the first time is to tell me that it's a mitzvah. The second time is that if you don't do it, it's invalid. That's how it works. So by 2 of the menach, it says it once. By 1 mincha, it says it by another mincha. They have to pour the oil. That means that it's invalid. It means that a kayan did not pour. A zar means the stranger poured it. If that's the case, the Gemara is now looking for symmetry. If you had a bunch of cases here, And layatzak meant that not that you didn't do it meant that a kayan didn't do it. So then the mixing of it as well, it must be not that you didn't mix it, but that a non-kayan mixed it. Like balal kayan elazar. But what would be halay balal klal psula? But if you didn't mix it at all, it would be puzzle, just like layatzak. That's how we're matching it up. If you don't do these at all, it's puzzle. If you don't pour at all the oil, it's puzzle. If you don't mix it at all, it's puzzle. If a non-kayan does the pouring, or if a non-kayan does the mixing, then it's kosher. That would be symmetrical in the cases. So, v'hatanan, but it's not so. It says in the Mishnah, shishim nivlalim, that you can have 60 tenths of an ephah in one bowl, mixed together. There's two opinions here if it means mixed together with one lug, or it means mixed together with 60 lugin. Whatever it is, it fits into one bowl. Shishim ve'echad, but at 61 tenths of an ephah of flour, ein nivlalim, do not mix with either one lug or 60 lugin, depending on how this is learned. It's two approaches here. 61 is no good. You can't bring a mincha of 61 in one pot. But we asked about it. What's the problem if it doesn't mix? If it doesn't. V'hatanan, we learned in our Mishnah, if you don't mix it, it's still kosher. Rab Zera responded that yes, it's kosher if you don't mix it. However, anything that's fit to be mixed, you don't have to mix it. What's not fit to be mixed, then the mixing invalidates it. It's sort of like the grammar rules. Once you know them, you can break them. No, you have to be able to. You have to be able to mix the mincha. If you put it in a pot into a scenario where it cannot be mixed, even though you don't have to mix it, but if it's in a situation where it can't be mixed, then it's invalid. So what we're seeing here is that when does our Mishnah validate the not mixing it? Whenever it's able to be mixed. You don't have to mix it. That's not what we did with pouring. We said if you don't pour, it's puzzle. Now we're saying if you don't mix it, it's kosher. So the mixing does not need to be a zar when it says, oh, if it's not mixed, it's kosher. If it's not mixed at all, it's kosher. It could say it's not, you don't, by the pouring we said if it's not pouring, it's puzzle. So what does it mean if it's not pouring, it's kosher? If it's not pouring by a kohen, it's still kosher, as long as someone poured it. But you can't say that case you can't say that in that form, in that template with mixing. You can't say not mixed is puzzle. It's not. It's kosher if you don't mix it, as long as you're able to mix it. So the Gemara says, "Midi area. Is this a problem? Is this a proof or a problem?" Hakadisa v'akadisa. You're reading into it. You're trying to make the cases symmetrical, and that it's not necessary to do that. Lo yatzak, not pouring, means lo yatzak kayan elazar. Means that a kayan didn't pour it, but a stranger poured it. Loi balal, not mixing it, means something else. Means loi balal klal, you didn't mix it at all. Everything has its interpretation, even though it doesn't. The interpretation for each case is different. You follow? When you go back to the Mishnah,
I understand that, but why is that acceptable?
I'll tell you why. It's acceptable because the Mishnayos were memorized.
Yeah.
So when you make things that you memorize, so you make them easy to memorize, and then you have to remember that there's an interpretation for each one. But it's much easier to memorize that like that, and then you'll figure out later what's what it's referring to. That's how the Mishnayos were learned. You follow?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get it, but
Look, let's say I was trying to teach the laws of Shabbos. So I would say these are laws of Shabbos and Yom Tov. And so yeah, but Yom Tov has other laws. I said we'll get to that afterwards. First, let's get this straight. There are exceptions. There are differences. But I can teach the laws of Shabbos and Yom Tov together, and I'll tell you the differences afterwards. So there's some basic things that go along here that if you didn't do this, if you didn't do that, if you didn't do that, it's kosher. I'll tell you the details later. Okay. If they're broken into large pieces, it's kosher. Gemara asked, if you don't break it up at all, it's kosher. Piece of merubas mibai. If you break it into big pieces, is that you have to tell that to me? If it's whole, it's still good. The Gemara says, my piece in merubas, what are large pieces? Shiriba b'pisisim. You broke it too much. That could be a problem. Iba Yasema, Tiwana could tell you, why is that a problem if you break it into many pieces? I'm not sure. Why is that a problem? It's less than a shear. There must be a shear of how big the pieces are supposed to be. Yeah. Okay. Iba Yasema, if you want, I can tell you, Loilam piece in merubes mamish. It actually means that you broke it into big pieces. We asked, why do you have to tell that to me? If you don't break it at all, it's fine. Mao the tema, what might you have said? If you don't break them at all, it's considered a chala. It says that the mincha was made chalas. Aval hacha, the leiteres chalas, the leiteres psisimika. You don't have either. You don't have a chala and you don't have broken pieces. So it says you break it into pieces. It's not pieces and it's not challah. You know, it's in the middle category. It's in between categories, so it doesn't fit into any category. So I could have thought that maybe that's no good. So kamash malan that it's still good. Why is it still good? I guess it's considered pieces. I don't know. Okay. Either because that's not a problem, it's not fitting into a category, or it still is fitting into a category. Okay, lema masnisin d'leik Shimon. Apparently, that a zar is allowed to pour the oil does not fit with Reb Shimon. So let us say that our Mishnah is not like Reb Shimon. When the Gemara does this, the Gemara doesn't like to limit our Mishnah to be specific opinions. It wants it to be that it's unanimous. But it seems that this is going to be difficult. So the Gemara is suggesting that doesn't fit with Reb Shimon. The Tanya, starting the Brisa. Reb Shimon Omer, Kol Kayan Sheina Moida Ba'avoda, any Kayan that doesn't acknowledge the service, Ein Lechilik B'Kehuna does not get a portion in the Kayan gifts. Shenemar, as it says, Hamakar V'Stam Ashlamim V'Sachelev V'Bnei Aaron Loisiya, the one that offers